7th May at 8:30 hours in the evening. Pakistan is using civil airliners as a shield, knowing fully well that its attack on India would elicit a swift air defense response. This is not safe for the unsuspecting civil airliners, including the international flights which were flying near IB between India and Pakistan. During a high air defense alert situation in the Punjab sector, as you have seen, the airspace on the Indian side is absolutely devoid of civil air traffic due to our declared closure. However, there are civil airlines flying the air route between Karachi and Lahore. Indian Air Force demonstrated considerable restraint in its response, thus ensuring safety of international civil carriers. With an intent to target military infrastructure, Pakistan military also resorted to firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Along the international border and line of control, drone intrusions were attempted from Leh to Sar Creek at 36 locations with approximately 300 to 400 drones. Indian Armed Forces brought down a number of these drones using kinetic and non-kinetic means. The possible purpose of these large-scale aerial intrusions were to test the AD systems and gather intelligence. Forensic examination of the drone debris is being undertaken. Preliminary reports suggest them to be of Aziz Guard Songa drone of Turkey.
The Gurdwara in Poonch in particular was attacked by Pakistan, and some local members of the Sikh community, including a Ragi of the Gurdwara, lost their lives in this incident. Pakistani claims that they did not target or attack any religious places. Instead of owning up to these attacks, Pakistan made the preposterous and outrageous claim that it was the Indian Armed Forces and the Indian Air Force that was targeting cities like Amritsar and trying to put the blame on Pakistan.
All right, let's get Nikunj first on this broadcast. Nikunj, there was a lull during the day, but it appears that Pakistanis are back at doing what they did last night. How should that be read? And how should the presence of the Saudi minister in Islamabad be seen? Are they playing the role of the interlocutors?
Well, Maria, first of all, to answer the first part of your question, quite clearly there is an escalation at this point in time, and it's not about the day or the night. The situation almost always develops at this point in time. It has started. We have to see what is the intensity of this fire that is coming in. If it is a reduced intensity compared to yesterday, then quite clearly we are moving in the direction that many would want it to move towards the de-escalation and disengagement. However, if the intensity increases, then quite clearly all the attempts of negotiations, including the perceived or attempted attempts by the Saudis to find a middle ground here in the entire situation, appears to be thwarted by the Pakistani leadership and appears to be not reaching anywhere, at least at this point in time. However, as I said, this is an evolving situation, and one will have to wait and watch for the situation to completely come to a conclusion or fruition.
We'll be joined by reporters from the ground from Jaisalmer to Jammu in just a bit, but let's bring in General Ata Hasnain. General Ata Hasnain, the point being made by Nikunj here is of whether the ceasefire violations and the drone attacks which are happening right now and the blackouts which are continuing in multiple cities along the border, is it of reduced intensity? If it is, then perhaps these are signs of de-escalation. How do you see it?
First of all, I entirely agree with him. I'm amazed at his excellent assessment. I mean, this is a military assessment which has just been made, and I compliment you for that, because this is the way actually you read it. And I am not aware of any further violations anywhere. No, there has been no toss bombing around. Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur will tell you something more on that. There have been no other projectiles which so far have been reported, but there's except for these drones which have come in. Obviously, this is not a higher level of escalation. This seems to be a different kind of a tactical change in the overall situation. And as very correctly brought out, only as we go along into the night. Normally last 2 nights we have seen 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock is a time. Last night, Jammu, of course, was happening even earlier. These are the times. So at the moment when we are speaking, I don't think there's any escalation as such. But we will see as we go on to the night, any lower intensity than what was there last night will obviously indicate an attempt to draw down. That, to my mind, may also invite a lesser response from our side, although a response will definitely go, but a lesser response. That is how a de-escalation process sometimes takes place. Otherwise, it could just stop overnight. It could just stop completely. But I think the space is being given for a little diplomacy. And until that happens, these kind of exchanges will probably continue.
General Hasnan, let me ask you a supplementary question, if you permit.
Yeah, please.
My question to you is that why many people would also expect that this can end suddenly, but why would it not end suddenly? Why would it not, a complete disengagement at this point of time is not possible in your view?
No, I just stated this, that you actually have two options. It can de-escalate progressively, as you had explained a short while ago, or if the decision is taken at both ends, at the highest political level, it can just stop. What happens in a slow, progressive de-escalation kind of a situation is that one is waiting to see what the other is doing. You're not certain whether the other is going to stop immediately or not. You draw down a little bit to see what is the response of the other. Otherwise, if you are very confident, you just stop. That's all. If you find that your objectives have been met, you just stop and wait for the other person to stop. It may happen that the other person does not stop, the other side does not stop. Then you have to ratchet up your whole response all over again. So it is better to actually progressively draw down, allowing each other the space and the ability to study the situation better. I don't think tonight, my personal assessment is that tonight I don't expect a major escalation. But I do think there will be bits and pieces of action which will continue.
That, General Hasnan, that I would say is something completely textbook or academic when you say that, the space is being given to each other and this engagement slowing down shows some signs of thaw. I think that many people would welcome that, General Hasnan.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly the way I look at it. I'm not sure how you say that this is a textbook answer, but
no, not an answer, textbook answer, but I would say that this is an answer which comes straight from the the precise military textbook, in the sense of withdrawing step by step. In that sense,
step by step, absolutely.
By step.
That's how it should happen. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Otherwise, a withdrawal could just be sudden. Withdrawals don't normally take place suddenly. But as I explained to you, this is the progressive way that usually it happens.
All right. Vice Marshal Bahadur, what's your assessment of what we are seeing play out today after a long night yesterday?
Yeah, a long night yesterday, and in my view, let us consider the other side of what General Hasnan was talking of. When you lob armaments, when you send drones, and you don't know what type of drones they are they yesterday they would have done the intelligence part, and today it may be delivery of weapons. So if that be the case, if we see the other side, Pakistan does not know how we would react if there is damage on the ground on our side. So in my view, this gradual de-escalation by reduced drone activity, if it happens, I think it may happen the other way around, that they have tested us yesterday and they have a plan of some sort, which they are implementing today. If you notice that, I think just an hour back, there was an interview of the Pakistani defense minister with some of their channels. And he said that we are in no option but to go for a war. I found it very funny. but that's what his statement was. And our statement given in the evening by the MEA and in the MEA briefing sort of didn't indicate that both sides have decided to come to a stop. Ideally, it should have been a stop today. And that's actually what I was thinking till an hour back when this news started coming in. So I think we need to be on the ball, which I'm sure we are, and to expect that this is a drawdown may not be the case. It may actually be some other way that may happen. So that's what I feel.
Air Vice Marshal Manmohan thinks that possibly this would be a premature conclusion of a drawdown. However, in the interim, let me try and go to one of our reporters who is very valiantly at this point in time reporting from frontier area of Firozpur. Gurpreet Chinna is there. And Gurpreet, can you bring us up to speed with the latest that you are seeing on the ground? What are you seeing all around you? And what is the latest situation?
Well, we are reporting from this Firozpur border, and we have seen at about 8 p.m. There was some information which has been given to the local administration. Multiple drone movement had been seen. Since 8 p.m. we have seen the whole city had been blacked out so that multiple precautions should be taken. We have seen the police is conducting patrolling and guiding the people, and multiple time we have seen siren had been used here so that they will be able to aware the people that there should not be movement at all. They should stay safe at their residence. And a few minutes back, we have seen from our top, we have seen that multiple drones movement here. So as of now, what we can understand, mock drills had been conducted multiple times here in this border area so that a proper precaution should be taken. But today we have seen in Firozpur border, it seems that that is the prime target. We have multiple military stations here, multiple camps here. So somewhere down the lane, we have seen the local administration is totally in touch with the people so that there should not be panic at all. And we know we have a very accurate integrated defense system. The way we have seen so many drones attack which has already been neutralized yesterday. Also the same thing we have seen here. The people are they are still feel that this the border area we are ready to grapple and combat with any situation. So as of now we have seen in the whole city that there is total blackout, and not only in Firozpur, what we have learned from Amritsar also, what we have learned from Pathankot also, what we have learned from Hoshiarpur also, multi-level precaution had been taken by the local administration. And we have seen even yesterday and today also very professional coordination between the civil administration and the defense forces also. Multiple precautions are being taken. A few minutes back, we have seen some people are on the roads, and patrolling team, the police patrolling team, they are guiding them not to use headlights at this point of time, and multiple time siren had been given in Firozpur. So we have to wait and watch what will be the outcome. But somewhere down the lane we have seen
Gurpreet, as a reporter who witnessed what happened yesterday
all the people
to today, can you make an assessment of the difference between the 2 days? 2 nights, I would be specific about in terms of explosions, drone sounds. Are you seeing some kind of reduction, or is it the same?
Well, what we have seen at about 8 p.m. when initially we got information, there were only 2-3 drones movement, what we have learned from our sources also. But now at 8:30 and after 8:30, we have seen multiple drone movement had been seen. Now somewhere down the lane, it seems, because yesterday we have seen they were trying to target our military area in Bathinda. We have seen the multiple attacks had been conducted there from Pakistan, but they were being neutralized because we have a very strong and very integrated defense system there also to cover all these things which are being thrown from across the border. But today we have seen huge movement here in Firozpur, because if we can compare with yesterday there was not much movement here, but what we have learned that there was some movement at the border, but because we are just standing a few kilometers away from border, because there is nobody is allowed to go towards the border because of the sensitive area, and we have seen multiple restrictions have been imposed by the local administration also, so that a proper precaution should be taken. But if we can, in a nutshell, if we can talk about Firozpur area, we have seen today there is more movement which has been observed at various locations of Firozpur, and immediately we have seen multiple sirens were being used by the local authorities, so that the people should be aware.
Thank you, Gurpreet, for that Thank you, Gurpreet, for that quick assessment. Now let's try and go back to our guests who have been waiting patiently. Ms. Curtis, let me ask you this question, which is on the topmost of every mind possibly today. Other than the diplomacy that possibly United States of America would bring in, there are two other regional players currently, Iranians and the Saudis, who are actively engaged, appears, between both India and Pakistan. Do you think that both of them together, or either of them, particularly the Saudis, can effect an engaging breakthrough in this situation, an effective breakthrough?
Well, look, I think it's a good sign that both these countries are trying to help diffuse the situation. But I think in the end, it is the United States that can play that role. The United States can offer its good offices in this situation. The U.S., of course, has a very strong strategic relationship with India. It also has a historical relationship with Pakistan. And I think that it really is the U.S. influence that will matter. So my hope is that Secretary of State Rubio continues his phone diplomacy with both sides. I think it's important that he would engage with the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff, Asim Munir, who would be directing the Pakistani military actions right now. In Pakistan, the military really is controlling what is happening. In India, of course, a democracy, it's a civilian controlled army. So I think, Secretary of State Rubio can engage with the civilian leadership in India, which is fine. But in Pakistan, I think it's important that he makes contact with the Chief of Army Staff, Asim Munir. Of course, in past crises, for instance, in 2019, when I was at the National Security Council, former Secretary of State Pompeo was in direct touch with the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff as well as the Indian Foreign Minister. So I think this is an important point. It's good other countries are watching and monitoring because this is a very serious, dangerous situation that we're seeing. But it really has to be the United States that's playing that role of getting the two sides to de-escalate.
Okay, but Ashok Malik, Washington increasingly appears to be impatient, I would say, because the statement which came in from a vice president once, where he said that it is for the two countries to deal among themselves, something which is a clear departure from what they have said so far. Why do you think this hands-off approach by US, which is very different from what they have functioned or their equations with Pakistanis have been?
Well, thank you. Just 2-3 points here, including an answer to your question. While the US, of course, is the predominant, the biggest power in the world, and while it certainly does matter, we need to recognize that its influence and role in this crisis is of a lower order than in previous crises. I'm not saying it doesn't have a role. I'm not at all suggesting that, but it is lower than it was in, say, 2019 or in 2016 or in 2008 when Mumbai happened. We need to recognize that this is a slightly different world order. Other actors, Arab actors, Saudi Arabia is coming into play, and there are sort of organic decision-making processes within the two countries involved that have a much greater say today than earlier. In terms of escalation, it's fairly clear that India does not want to escalate. India has only been responding to every Pakistani decision to escalate, starting with, of course, Pahalgam itself, which was the first escalation. India, to my mind, has achieved its goals already. The goal number one, the military goal, was telling Pakistan that we can strike not just within a few kilometers in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but into the heartland of Punjab. You thought we couldn't strike Mudrike and Bahawalpur. We've done that. Even your heartland is not invulnerable now. Whether two people have been killed in that strike or 200 is irrelevant. It's not the metric by which to judge the success of that operation, what happened on May 7th. Second, steps that India has taken of a non-military nature, especially the Indus Waters Treaty being put in abeyance. And I know the Indus Waters Treaty cannot be torn up in a day, infrastructure cannot be built in a day, it's a longer term process, but a certain process, a certain journey has begun. It's been put into motion. It will have a long-term impact on Pakistan. A hard message has been sent, and I don't think it's going to be reversed in a hurry. So there is serious economic coercion and economic pain coming from Pakistan. That is also an important message India has sent. In terms of will Pakistan escalate this evening as the night has just begun, or will it do so tomorrow? General Hasnain has offered his view. Air Marshal Bahadur has offered his view. We are still early into the night. We don't know. I would only bring in one more imponderable, which is the degree of internal pressure, not external pressure. Internal pressure on General Munir, because in the end, this is on him. It began with the incendiary speech that he gave on Hindus and Muslims and the two-nation theory, and he spoke a lot of rubbish, which is not borne out by the way society lives in our part of the world, at least in India. It was followed up with Pahalgam. People already obviously linked the two. And in a sense, this is on him, and he will be facing pressure within his own system. So it is a decision for him to take, quite honestly. I think that is a very important factor as well. What are the pressures on General Munir?
General Hasnain, again, coming back to you, this engagement of tonight, I mean, taking forward from where it is since yesterday, do you think that potentially, if this carries on, then the element of escalation that is always there somewhere, it continues and the situation remains a hair trigger situation, or this is something that we can hope that ends without some graver or bigger escalation carried on with these kind of probing attacks, so to say?
See, so far, what we have seen is what is classically in conflict terms called low-intensity conflict. Low-intensity conflict is not always subconventional. It is low levels of conflict, and this is exactly that. Not a soldier has crossed the line of control or the international border. It is only drones and a couple of missiles which have gone across on both sides, sending messages. And the messages are also being understood from the quantum which have gone, the locations which have been struck, the counter actions which have been taken. Now, if things don't improve tonight, in the sense that progressively we don't see a de-escalation process beginning to start at this time, you may well find actions which are still, in abeyance at the moment, starting to take place. For example, ground movement. You haven't even seen a single movement of the army yet. And the moment you find any of our pivot formations moving their elements forward to one of their hides, or if the Navy decides to move the aircraft carrier a couple of nautical miles north, northeast, or any direction, each of this is a turn of the screw. Each of this is a turn of the screw. So, escalation is not just in terms of throwing a couple of missiles or throwing a couple of drones at each other. It can get very dangerous when it goes into the maritime zone, which yesterday was being reported, and I think it was fake news yesterday that Karachi was under fire and things like that. It was definitely not from the Navy. But I would also warn that we are now hearing tank noises around locations. People are telling me they're hearing tank noises and things like that. That is not a very good sign for the situation as such. As a soldier, I'll say from India's side, there is no problem at all, because this needs extreme punishment. Punitive action has to take place until they decide to draw down finally. But having said that, also as a citizen of the country and a responsible one, I feel that the message has been delivered, just the manner in which Ashok Malik Saab just assessed. I think we have achieved our objectives completely, and it's time for de escalation, which I think, I repeat once again, will probably start tonight.
Air Vice Marshal, what is your assessment? Time for proper time, prim and proper time for de-escalation, disengagement at this stage, or this kind of Pakistani ingress of drones or Pakistani ingress of missiles would need some other element in our responses, which General Hasnan has very eloquently explained what those maneuvers can be.
It's also a battle of perceptions, a battle of public opinion that is being fought across the borders. Ideally, it should have been a stop today. We struck them, they struck us, they came, we struck, that's how it ended. To think and to see the same thing being repeated today, the ball now is in our court, which is, do we respond? But that's a big political decision that would have to be taken. Respond in kind or reduced manner, as General Hasnan says, and let it peter down. That is something that has to be watched very carefully. But once again, it's the public opinion, because all over television now, the fact that the Pakistanis have sent drones again and they have reached down to Firozpur. Yesterday it was further down. Today is only up till Firozpur. But the fact remains that they have crossed the line. We do not know what action, what have they dropped, what's the damage, if any. Yesterday there was nothing. So is it something that the Pakistanis want to show their public that since nothing happened today, something happens on ground and then we are quits, we are normal? Because the Pakistani public saw in broad daylight when we sent our drones, our Harpies and Harop drones, and they struck their radars, and we have got videos all over social media. So that was a visible, something which the Pakistanis, Aam Janta saw in front of their eyes, which they have not seen this time. So I think we really have to keep our fingers crossed. The ball is now in our political establishment. How the response comes to this. Are we sagacious enough to say, okay, we still want to stop it because we have conveyed the message, or we still want to deliver something which you and I don't know, the government knows, obviously.
But Ashok Malik, for how long can General Munir continue to manufacture external threats for consolidating internal control? I mean, this is a losing game, certainly, for Pakistan.
No, that's the question we've been asking about the Pakistani army for the past 80 years. So, but the fact is, this episode is on him. Internally, he will get the reckoning has to stop with him, within Rawalpindi, within Islamabad, within the Pakistani establishment. If it is seen as a success, and I'm not suggesting it's going to be seen as a success, he gets the credit. If it's seen as a failure or a setback, the hard questions will be asked to him. So in a sense, all I'm trying to suggest is, while they are external actors who are trying to counsel Pakistan to tamp down, while there is the logic of not going into a larger conflict, which can only end with more bad news for Pakistan. Of course, it's going to be a very tough battle for all sides, but it can only end in one manner. While all of that is true, we do need to factor in the personal pressures or the professional pressures within the Pakistani army top brass on General Munir. He has allowed it to become something which stops at his table. The buck stops with him. And how he maneuvers his way out of that is also going to give us an indication of how this de-escalation process continues or advances.
All right, let's shift focus again to Ground Zero, where Harsha is joining us live from Jaisalmer. Harsha, this is the question that I asked Gurpreet. I'm going to ask the same question. The difference between what you saw yesterday and now, last night and tonight.
Well, yes, I am in Jaisalmer, and as you can see behind me, there's a complete blackout here. In fact, you can just barely see the outlines of the Shonar Killa behind me, and of course, it's a beautiful moonlit night. So while I was standing here, we did see lights going off towards my right. I did see lights going off, probably a drone neutralizing action, definitely. So there was a little bit of movement. Now it's silent here again. In Pokhran, about the same time, in Pokhran and Barmer, these are the other, border cities. So in Pokhran and Barmer, Pokhran is about 120 kilometers from Jaisalmer. So in Pokhran, definitely loud explosions were heard. And in fact, we've got a video from Pokhran also from some known reliable source who I spoke to personally, who actually shot that in the sky, the drone neutralizing system quite clearly shot there. We'll show you that video very soon. So that was in Pokhran, Jaisalmer and Barmer. Barmer is on red alert. Jaisalmer is anyway on alert. And I think I can hear, yes, behind me, the Shonar Killa, I can hear the air siren. It's been on for a while now, actually, for the past 15 to 20 minutes. I can hear the air siren behind me. It's been on for now. So red alert here. As of now, quiet. There was a little bit of activity in Jaisalmer and the skies behind me. It's quietened down now. After that, we haven't heard any more reports because there's been, like I said, activity in Jaisalmer, Pokhran and Barmer.
Harsha, I quite marvel the calm that you bring to the screen under such a tense situation. And I quite also marvel the military terms that you have been using with your, great experience of that border state which shares the longest border with Pakistan. Try and explain to our viewers in detail. I want you to speak in a focused manner, Harsha. I know you are distracted, but don't get distracted. Speak to the viewer. Imagine that you have to give viewer a live commentary from the ground zero. So don't get distracted, don't look around you, just speak of all that you have noticed right from the early evening today and yesterday. Very valiantly you were covering and observing the entire thing from under a bridge yesterday where the law enforcement apparatus was also with you. Explain to the viewer what you have been noticing and what is the change that you are noticing currently for the last 2 hours. Explain in a manner that viewer must know that he or she is sitting there right next to you.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Nikunj. As soon as we came in, of course, we went to the border areas. We went to those border villages, which were just about 11 to 17 kilometers away. There, the BSF had told those people very clearly, because very often with their shepherds and their goats, they go right up to the fencing. So they were told very clearly, don't venture that side, stay this side. But there was a sense of calm, definitely, in the border areas, in Jaisalmer also. We also went to other border villages where the police were patrolling and meeting village people. So there was a sense of, buoyancy and a sense that we are ready to face whatever will happen. But, interestingly, even after the multiple drone activity yesterday, which happened over Jaisalmer, which actually, to be honest, was quite a frightening experience because we were, driving back from the border villages, and then this activity around 9 o'clock started happening over Jaisalmer. And then we had to stop. There was no other option. We had to stop. We were, in fact, thinking whether we should there's a flyover, the high road that goes. We were thinking whether we should take that road, and then decided it's safer to, sort of travel closer to ground rather than take, very state-of-the-art flyovers. So as soon as we took that road, we went under the bridge. There were army trucks there, and they advised us that stay here, don't venture out, because there is a lot of drone activity over Jaisalmer. In fact, it was non-stop yesterday. So we were told to stay there. We stayed there and reported live, then came into our hotel. Today also, we could see the remnants of that drone activity. We were at a spot where an explosive had fallen and it was being neutralized. It has been successfully neutralized by the army, but it took them some time to do that. Now, again, in Jaisalmer at about 4:35 in the evening, the entire city was shut down well before time, because given yesterday's experience where they were not prepared, they shut down the entire city well before time. People packed up and went home. It was like a lockdown. Again, the mood was not, of course, I spoke to some women who said they do feel afraid, which is normal and human, but to demonstrate courage under, despite the fear, I think is really an act of human bravery. And I found that in the people of Jaisalmer, very resilient, very sturdy, not jingoistic at all. They all said that, we're going home, we're going to make sure that the blackout is successful, and then we're going to wait and see what happens. So as of now, the air raid siren is going on. It's uneasy. It's an uneasy calm. Definitely, not as much activity as yesterday, but more tension and definitely an uneasy calm. And like I said, Pokhran, I just spoke to someone who heard those explosions. We've given that video, which I'm sure you'll be playing out very soon. So it's quite clear that Barmer, Pokhran and Jaisalmer, there has been some kind of activity from across the border, and the Indian Air Force is obviously defending whatever is coming from across the border.
Right, Harsha, thank you so much for summing that up so well for our viewers. We are shifting focus now to Srinagar. That's where Shiv Aroor, more of action is, and Shiv Aroor is joining us live. Shiv, what is the latest coming in now from 2 hours ago to now?
Maria and Nukunj, we've just had a near complete blackout here in Srinagar. We're still sitting outside, but we're going to be probably shifted in very, very soon like we were yesterday. There was an air raid siren that went off for about 5 minutes, about 20 minutes ago. It's all quiet here in Srinagar. We did see some movements earlier of official vehicles, but obviously we're not reporting any other movements of any kind here. But here in Srinagar, it's a blackout. It was a partial blackout when this broadcast began. It's now pretty much an extended blackout here. A short while earlier, we heard some distant, very dull explosions. They were very distant. They were obviously not anywhere near Srinagar, but we're wondering where that might actually have been from. Could have been some anti-drone measure somewhere, but we obviously will not be speculating about that. We've asked our contacts to get us some verified information. All of this obviously happening in the context of what our network of reporters is bringing in with visual information from Samba, Pathan, there's information coming in from Amritsar, Rajouri, and Jammu as well. So I think we're going to be keeping our eyes open right now in Srinagar.
Shiv, let me ask you a small question. Shiv, let me ask you a small question. Let me ask you. You are somebody who has been reporting on this story non-stop from the time this attack took place, the attack on Pahalgam, that is. And you have now spent a considerable amount of time in the upper reaches of LOC, almost close to where this ground zero is. Tell us something. General Hasnan was saying on the broadcast that if we are withdrawing, a methodical, step-by-step withdrawal is a better process of disengagement than a sudden withdrawal. Do you see, what is your reporter's hunch and experience tells you? Do you see that there is a process of withdrawal underway, or this is non-stop aggression of the same degree as we saw yesterday?
That's a really good question, Nikunj. And remember that the Indian government has been consistently providing these small little windows of opportunity for the kind of disengagement that you speak of. Because remember, the initiative has to be with Pakistan. India has conducted these punitive strikes. Pakistan struck back. India struck back. This constant exchange of drone warfare doesn't seem to end because, the ball keeps passing between India and Pakistan. I can tell you that today was a very quiet day on the line of control. The entire day was very quiet. Early in the morning in Uri, there were ceasefire violations, and just when one thought that Pakistan may have possibly seized the opportunity after having a pretty bad day with so many drones being shot down, etc., the first daytime ceasefire violations happened in Kupwara, Poonch and in Uri, where I was reporting from. And now you've got this swarm drone strike, attempted strike in different population centers, which basically, Nikunj and Maria, means the third attempt in just 48 hours by Pakistan to send drones in to attack population centers, not just military establishments. So the disengagement that you speak of, seems like a mirage at this point of time. In the middle of this entire fog of war, the claims and counterclaims over damage, inflicted on both sides, the window of opportunity, the off-ramp, the exit route, the face saver, whatever you want to call it, I feel is really shrinking smaller and smaller. Because remember, each escalation creates an initiative for the other side to escalate right back, and that's what we're in the middle of right now.
I think very well put. This is a hair trigger situation which can get out of hand very, very quickly, and with this kind of ingress, that possibility always remains, and in fact becomes more and more robust as a possibility. Shiv, thank you very much for now, and I would request our panelists to stay on with us. We will have to take a short break. Shiv, we will continue to bother you overnight as well. We'll just come back after a very quick break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's on.
गोल्ड ग्लास क्लियर ग्लास पार हो या नियर सब कुछ दिखे क्लियर.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of
the opposition to it, why taking bids?
More debates that shake the system. More exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Not just another prime time.
Hello and welcome to The Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav.
This is the news break and I'm Vasudha Venugopal. This is The Last Word and I'm Maria Shakil.
Left, right and center, and good evening and welcome.
It's a prime time that's unmissable.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight,
welcome back. This is The Big Fight, and we are continuing to track all the developments which are taking place in multiple cities, from Jammu to Jaisalmer to Firozpur. Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur and Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain continue to be with us. General Hasnain, you heard the assessment of one of our reporters, in fact, Shiv, who has been on ground zero for the last 2 weeks. His assessment is that any attempt at ingress actually makes the situation worse. General Hasnain, if you heard me. Okay. There seems to be some problem with that line.
AVM, if you can take that question, please.
As I had said earlier, any action from one side, that side does not know how the other side would react. So the issue that comes up is that whatever is today, how are they so sure that we respond, or that we will respond in a proportionate manner, or we respond in a disproportionate manner? So the point is that this is a big risk, and that's why my assessment was that that this is not a good sign. But let's see how it happens, how it goes. But there is, like General Hasnain said, is that you turn the screw, you give indications to move up the escalation ladder in a way so that the messages keep getting sent the other side, and then things even out. But let's hope for the best. Your reporters on the ground are doing a fine job, and their reporting is indicating that we have to be on the ball. Absolutely, for the next, I think, quite a few weeks, if I may say so. Till that time, an official confirmation comes that everything is fine, and that would take some time.
Our reporters at NDTV are our pride, sir. I mean, I take great pride in working closely with them. I take great pride in introducing each one of them on the screen every time they appear. It's something that gives me immense joy. General Hasnain, briefly on this one, sir, because we have very little time left on this broadcast. Now, what are your military sources? I mean, I'm sure you would be wanting to write that in the papers tomorrow, but let me ask you, what are your military sources telling you, sir, right now at this point in time? What is the intensity of the exchange that we have now seen for almost 1.5 hours compared to yesterday? I'm sure you would have had a chance to speak to your military sources.
If I get a minute from NDTV, I would always check on that. But I'm afraid I never work on that at all. I speak to people once in a while. I have too much on my hands the whole day. So there's really no time for this. My assessments are purely conjecture and based upon what is called common military knowledge. Right? My thing just tells me that Pakistan, of course, is a very irrational state. There's no doubt. Made even more irrational by the kind of leadership that they have at the moment in the form of a virtual war criminal called Asam Munir. Right? With that, nothing can be, you can't really predict anything that can happen. But common military knowledge says that a nation which is not capable at the moment with the kind of economic situation it has at the moment, the way it is hamstrung by the situation on the western border, its own internal security, the problem with the Baluch Liberation Army, etc., would definitely not want to escalate a situation on its eastern border. It's already done the messaging. It tried to find its relevance inside Jammu and Kashmir by carrying out this heinous act at Pahalgam, right? And through that, it's tried to show its own importance and that it is still a part of the narrative in Kashmir. That is what it has attempted to do. Not discounting the fact that there would be an Indian response. I'm not sure whether their military sense at all told them that the Indian military response will be far stronger, that it will come into the heartland of Punjab, and that it will also be accompanied by things like the holding back of the Indus water treaties, etc. I'm not sure if it made any sense to them to assess all this. Now they're started throwing projectiles and missiles of different sizes all over the line of control and the international border.
Right.
To my mind, it will draw down to escalation only at the line of control, where some firing will continue. So-called ceasefire violations will continue there.
All right.
Besides that, I don't think too much will happen tonight. I may be proved wrong, but I still continue to believe
General
that tonight
Hasnain, I'm going to ask the same question to Nazir Masoodi, who's reporting from Kupwara. So thank you so much for joining us, General Atta Hasnain and Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur. Nazir is standing by now. Nazir, the same question that has been on everybody's mind, is there a difference, some change in intensity from yesterday to now, and in the last 1.5 hours, particularly when you heard the drones sounds and explosions to now?
Well, there are two things. One, we see the heavy artillery which is going on along the line of control and international border. Second, it is increasingly a drone war. As the government of India today said, 400 drones had tried to be incursion into India. Some of them were completely shot down yesterday, and their wreckage has initial findings said they were, these Turkish-made drones. And again, we saw in Jammu, same thing happening. Multiple drone intrusions in multiple places across Jammu. Though intensity was less than what it was yesterday, but multiple, loud explosions I heard in different parts of Jammu, and there was also firing. But hopefully things are calming. Now, but along the line of control here in Kupwara, I can tell you, it is heavy artillery shelling in Machal sector. It is heavy artillery shelling in Keren sector and Tangda sector, which has borne the brunt of the shelling. I was in some of those areas today where people have lost their homes. It was heavily raining since yesterday here in Kupwara. And in this, people losing their homes. But again, they thought perhaps there would be some sort of calm, relative calm. But again, it was much more, across border shelling with much more intensity. So it would be again would be a nightmare for so many people living in Jammu and Kashmir, even as large number of people have been taken to shelter places.
All right, Nazir, thank you so much. Stay safe because that's one of the districts which has been impacted repeatedly because of those indiscriminate shelling which is continuing from the Pakistani side. That's all from us on this edition of The Big Fight. This remains our top focus here on NDTV. Thanks so much for watching.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shiv, Aroor, only on NDTV 24/7.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as
Good evening and welcome. In case you're just tuning in, it is unfortunately yet another night when we are seeing intense air defense activity as a result of Pakistani drones coming into Indian airspace. It's taking place in multiple locations, Jammu, in the Rajouri area, in Amritsar as well, in Pokhran, in Jaisalmer. These are just a couple of areas. My colleague Deepthi with us as we run you through all of these developments on what unfortunately is another tense night for India.
Oh, absolutely. And we also, Vishnu, must tell our viewers that we are looking at all important meetings that have continued to happen. In fact, initial reports that are coming in is also that the Prime Minister possibly has had a word with the External Affairs Minister. We've seen India absolutely making it very, very clear that we are not the aggressor. But in case Pakistan continues unabated like this and it continues to target our civilians, we will be forced to retaliate. In fact, there has been a significant briefing by the MEA, Vishnu, as you know. We would also get our viewers details of in just a moment. But right now on our screens are images right now that are coming in from Jaisalmer. And again, what we see is like what Vishnu said, a second night of those attempts by Pakistan that continue And these are images, I think, of the earlier meeting. Vishnu, you'd like to talk about this, where we'd seen the Prime Minister chairing that
yes,
meeting.
this was an important meeting where the Prime Minister met the National Security Advisor, the three armed forces chiefs, I think, who were present over there to get an idea, the National Security Advisor, of what exactly the situation was. This was a couple of hours back, but since then we've seen a massive escalation of the situation in so many parts right now, and we're going to list all of those areas where this has actually taken place. But what's taking place now is intense air defense activity, by which we mean tracer bullets are being fired. There are various systems in play. What the red streaks that you see on the left-hand side of your screen are tracer bullets taking place. The explosions may or may not imply that drones are being taken down, but tracer bullets, tracer rounds also do have that explosive element in them. In certain cases, missiles would perhaps be fired as well. But the fact that we've got confirmations of explosions in the skies around Amritsar, a heavily populated area, is